In addition to flipped classes, I think some teachers during the pandemic learned more about asynchronous or self-paced learning. So what I want to do is I want to talk through some of the hallmarks of asynchronous or self-paced learning. First, I would define it as working at your own pace. And I would say within reason, because you do want to set certain benchmarks. It definitely allows for differentiation. In addition to the differentiated pacing, you'll see that there's other opportunities for differentiation. Another hallmark is that students typically will revise their work until mastery. So that might include retaking tests or quizzes. It also opens up for one-on-one instruction. So since the teacher is no longer sort of lecturing, it allows for that one-on-one time. Some teachers might think of having unit end dates. And one thing that I found for doing this is that you definitely need a robust tracking system. And since that's the hardest one to think about, I think I'm going to start with that. So I would suggest some kind of pacing calendar. So you might have a weekly calendar. I would advertise it as this is the slowest you can work. Then you need some kind of system. I've used the Google spreadsheet where I've had each row as a different student and each column as a different assignment. And then I check them off and have them all in one place. I might project it. And then you need some kind of intervention system. So what I did, since we were on an 8-day cycle, I would do sort of a check-in at the end of the cycle and see where students were. And if they were slower than my pacing calendar, I would mark them as behind. And if they were behind 2 cycles in a row, then that would trigger certain intervention systems. So at my school, we had a notification system that we could send notes home. What I also did was I had an individualized spreadsheet that I shared with each student, and I used the import range formula that it would pull from my master spreadsheet, and it will go into each student's individual spreadsheet so they can see where they were at any point in time. And then some other systems on top of the tracking systems, there are other things that support asynchronous or self-paced learning. So if you have any opportunities to provide answer keys, and I would suggest something like a partial answer key. So, and that sort of allows you to be in multiple places at one time. And similarly, if there's any kind of automatic grading system, so if you have any tasks that can be self-graded, you can have randomized questions and pull from question banks that allows for it to have some kind of integrity, test integrity. Highly recommend it. If you're going to have students revise or do retakes, which I would strongly suggest, you're going to have to come up with some kind of retake policy. Made them jump through certain hoops. I had a list of things they had to do in order to get permission. There's a lot of time for one-on-one help. I set up a system, we called it Wilson time. Students would write their name on a board, and then there was like a coloring system. So if it was urgent, they would indicate it by using red. If it was a quick question, they would write QQ. If there are times where I can skip, where there was an urgent student was stuck, I didn't want them wasting time. Typically, before I went to asynchronous learning, they would submit each assignment individually on the learning management system. And I found that wasn't as helpful because then I'm constantly checking for work that's in the learning management system or relying on email alerts and stuff. So what I decided was I actually created these unit workbooks, these digital workbooks, and I use Google Docs. So all the handouts, all the assignments, the note template sheets, all go in the workbook. So by using the Google Doc and using the tag and comment features, that would allow me to not have to like go all over the place to check work.